Welcome back to the Blitz here on 94.1 San Antonio Sports Star. He is Joe Reinagel. I'm Jason Minix, former Spur, seven-time champion Robert Horry, joining us now in the Buyers Barricades guest line. It's finals time to talk about the NBA Finals. Robert Horry joining us here courtesy of Bet Online. Robert, you think about this matchup coming up on Thursday, Mavericks and Celtics. Seems like a great matchup, but at the same time, all the time off between games. You've been to many finals. Does the time off help or hurt?
Um, you know what? It's really hard to say with certain teams. I think it's with both these teams, it's going to help because you allow Porzingis to get healthy, you get Lively to get healthy in that sense. But as far as keeping that rhythm and keep smoothness, I think it's going to probably hurt the Boston Celtics more than anybody because they have a lot of pressure on them. You know, you think about it, they got four dudes on their team making over $30 million. They got everybody expecting them to, win number 18, being titles. And so there's a lot of pressure on them. Everybody expecting Tatum to be big, win MVP, and then go on to get another big contract like Brown. So all the pressure is on the Celtics to come out and perform, while the Dallas Mavericks are sitting back saying, we're not supposed to be here. We're fifth seed. We playing loosey-goosey, and we're going to use some of that Luka magic to get us over the top.
So, Robert, what do you do if you're in that Boston Celtics locker room and the pressure's on and they obviously on paper have the better team, the deeper team? What do you say to each other going into game one on Thursday night?
Just play loose. Don't think about, the naysayers. Don't think about anything but doing your job. You have to go do your job. If your job is to get rebounds, you get rebounds. Your job to lock someone up defense, you lock them up and not let them get their average. It's so many things that go into play. And, the thing about professional basketball players, they're really good at adapting and learning how to, do whatever situation that can help them perform. And I think, look at the Celtics, even though they're a young team, none of them have won a championship over there other than Drew Holiday. I think it's going to be crucial for those guys to stay together when bad times happen and not rely on the three ball so much and learn how to get to the hole like Luka does and get to the foul line to get easy buckets.
Robert Horry joining us here on the Blitz. Robert, take us inside the locker room. The pressure, as you talked about on Boston, there's one guy on that Celtics team named Jason Tatum that seems to be facing a lot of pressure. Big name player who hasn't been able to lead his team to a championship. We all talk about it. Do they talk about it in the locker room? Does a Jaylen Brown or a Derek White say, dude, don't put pressure on yourself. Give it to me. Let the game come to you. What's the in the locker room conversation like?
I think more so is like, yo, just stay loose. Just play your game. Those words are going to be probably spoken most. Just play your game. I remember, playing with, Tim and Shaq and Dream, three of the best players that ever played this game. You should say, just play your game. Don't think about it. And you try to make them lose by cracking a joke or, having a conversation, playing some music, whatever it needs to be to get them out of that mindset of pressure. And I think for Jason, he's probably, he's been to the finals. So he's not worried about getting to the finals or doing something of that nature. He's been there. Now it's about getting over that hump. And I think that's going to be the biggest key. It's going to play in his favor that he's been to the finals. Even though they weren't successful, he's been there and he understands it.
When you look at a guy like Luka Doncic and what the guy can do, I mean, it seems like everybody knows what he's going to do, right? I mean, you think, but nobody can stop him. What do you do with this guy? Because I think, Robert, clearly he's the best player that's going to be on the floor in this series.
Yeah, he's going to be the most offensively skilled player. You're not the best player because he ain't going to play no defense. So I think what you got to do is you just got to get the ball out of his hand. I don't understand how these players and coaching staff keep letting them come off a pick and roll, going one-on-one with a big. Who wants to put one of the most dynamic players offensively against a big? I would love that situation. So double team, get the ball in hand, and don't let him get it back. Nobody, everybody says, oh, that's college way to play the game. No, it's not. It's the basketball way to play the game. The most dangerous man in the court can't be dangerous if he can't catch it. And I know that's easier said than done, but you got enough long, athletic guys in that Boston locker room that can make Luka give it up.
Seven-time champ Robert Horry joining us here on the Blitz. You look at this series and I kind kind of leaning Boston as we see her on Tuesday. You might help sway me here. And I look at Boston. I think Boston can win it with Jason Tatum not being the MVP. I don't think the Mavericks can win the finals without Luka being the MVP. Is that a fair or statement or not?
You know what? It's weird that you say that. You remember that guy that played with Steph Curry that won MVP in the finals? that you never thought won MVP. So it ain't always about the major guys stepping up, because you forget Jaylen Brown can step up. Drew Holiday has won a championship. Derek White, hell of a player. Not saying he's going to win the MVP, but you never know. And then if you roll over to Dallas Mavericks, you forgot there's a guy that almost won the MVP of the finals on that team, and Kyrie Irving. So I think if you basically just boil down and look at it, it's going to go down. It's not going to be about Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, Luka Doncic, or Kyrie Irving. It's going to be about White and Washington. Whoever of those three, out of those two, play the best and helps their team by doing the dirty stuff, playing good defense, knocking down big shots, that's going to be the key, because those two guys on each team, the megastars, are going to cancel out each other. It's about those other three, the supporting cast, that's who's going to step up for them.
Robert, I have a feeling you thrived in this situation, but let me ask you, Kyrie Irving going back to Boston, they don't like him very much there, right? He's going to catch a lot of heat, I would think, from the Boston crowd. How does Kyrie handle something like that, or how would Robert Horry handle it?
I would love it. I love people to boo me. I love to be the bad guy. And sometimes I'm the bad guy when I don't deserve to be the bad guy. and that's talking about the city that you live in right now. I'm like, why am I the bad guy? Because I said somebody else was better than Tim. Why am I the bad guy? Damn. I'm like, I do have my own opinion. And so for me, I just think Kyrie, if you watch him throughout the year, he's played with a certain calmness. It's like he's coming to his own. He's matured. And think about it. He can go in a game where he don't take one or two shots in the first quarter. The next thing, everybody's looking like, can you score? The next thing he has 20 in the quarter. He's just playing with a calmness now that only comes with veteran players, where they understand that, it's not about me, it's about we. And you can really, as a basketball player, a guy who loves the game of basketball, you can sit back and really enjoy what he's doing right now.
What is different about Kyrie's game? I mean, the trade last year, it didn't work. I gave Mark Cuban a lot of credit for at least trying it. But to see how Luka and Kyrie have gelled, along with everybody else, the coaching from Jason Kidd and, the way he's running things with the different personnel that's on the floor. But I really think it's all about Kyrie accepting his role on that team. What do you see from an NBA star's perception of the difference in Kyrie this year versus last year or years past during his career?
I think so many people, when you make a major trade like that, you expect the impact to happen immediately. Since I covered the Lakers, you're talking about the trade the Lakers made 2 seasons ago. It took them to the Western Conference Finals. Then it fizzled out this year. Sometimes trade can spark, and sometimes trades are. And I think when you got two dynamic guards like Luka and Kyrie, they just ain't gonna have that chemistry right away. They had to develop it over time. And, Luka had to know when to get off the ball. Kyrie had to learn how to play with Luka, who dominates the ball. He had to play off the ball. And so I think when people look at it, that's what they had to adapt to. Then also, they needed some added pieces. They needed, you needed P.J. Washington. You needed Dante Exum. You needed Jaden Hardy. You needed Daniel Gifford. All these guys to come in and impact the game in so many different ways. And that's what it's all about. You think about Tim Duncan, you think about Tony Manu, but it's about the Bruce Bournes, the Malik Roses, those guys that were able to come in and add a punch to the team.
Robert, I got to ask you about a guy here in San Antonio that might very well be the face of the league before too long, Victor Wembanyama. So first of all, your thoughts on him, and then would you, as a veteran player, want to come to San Antonio and play with a guy like that?
I would, just because I know how to play off a dynamic big. But here's the question: this day and age, how many NBA players are going to put the ego aside and let this young upstart carry them to a championship? And how many more years is Pop going to coach? There's so many different things that come into play. And I think, first of all, if I'm coaching San Antonio Spurs, I got to get me a guard. I got to give me a guard that knows how to get the ball to Victor, not take shots because I think I'm the guy of the team. Know your pecking order. And that's what you got to – that's what you definitely need on that team, a guard. And you could bring in – if you had – everybody was like, well, you need a veteran leader on that team. No, you don't. If you got a coach that know how to manage, like Pop does, manage a situation, you can do that. Sometimes veterans, they get in the way because they're old and slow, So I think with a team like this, you just need a good point guard to come in and run the show and to get Victor the ball when he needs it and not think he's the star of the show and take a lot of bad shots like the point guard that they have now.
Mm-hmm. Robert Horry here, courtesy of Bet Online. Check out Bet Online for updated NBA Finals series and MVP odds, along with game-by-game lines and props. Right now, current odds about 70% leaning towards Boston winning the NBA Finals this year. Robert, who's your pick to win the finals? How many games and who's winning MVP?
I think it's going to go 7, and I think the Mavericks are going to win it, and I think Kyrie Irving is going to be MVP.
There you go.
I love it.
Robert Horry.
When you bet, you got to go outside the box if you want to really win some money now.
Yeah, this is true.
Those are great odds.
This
plus
is true.
190. I love it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Robert Horry trying to make money still.
Absolutely.
7-time NBA champ, former Spur. Robert Horry, always great catching up, my friend.
Hey, I got to make money because I took less money to play for the Spurs. So, yeah, I got to make my money back.
And you're going to get it back by betting the Mavs. Yeah. Boy, that's going to go over well in San Antonio, but I hear you.
Yeah, all right.
Appreciate you, Robert. Thank you.